Scenicing is in the eye of the beholder. You try to make it look as realistic as possible, but it's realistic in your eyes. And folks, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people will say, well, that don't look right. But it don't look right to them. It looks right to you, and that's all that matters, because it's your railroad, okay? So don't get caught up in trying to make it perfect to this. One of the things that can help you is maybe looking at a photograph of something and then trying to mimic the photograph on your layout. And there's a lot of different ways to do your layout. You can do it, and I use both styrofoam and plaster and paper. So you can use a lot of different stuff to make your scenes, but try to make it as realistic as you possibly can. In other words, if there's a hill, is it a gradual hill or is it a steep hill? If it's a steep hill, it's going to be a little harder to scenic, because it's going to be a little harder to get your stuff to stick to it. And how you going to manage that? What colors are you going to use? I've got a few different colors of scenicing material up here, and some people will take 3 or 4 of these and mix them together and then spread them out. I don't like that, because as I look at my yard, I've got a lighter green and a little darker green and a light green and a little darker green. So I start out with the dark, and then I add a little light to it, and then I add a little medium to it, and I get all these different shades within my yard, which to me looks like a real yard. If you mix them all together, they're pretty much even, and it's hard. You can't distinguish different hues in your yard. So I try to use each one of them separately. That way I get the different hues. Mountains. We're going to really focus tonight primarily on how to build a mountain in your backdrop. How do I build a mountain? Well, you can build it out of styrofoam. I use the 2-inch insulation board from Home Depot, the pink stuff. It's not cheap, not anymore. I can remember when it was like $19 a sheet. Now it's almost $60-something a sheet, I think. It's crazy. But I use that, I stack it, I glue it together, and I use a hot knife to form it. I can't use a hot knife in here because it would stink up this place so bad. But I do use a hot knife at home, and I do form it at home. And I try to do that when the guys are not over doing a work session, because it can get pretty strong. But I keep a fan going and the door open, and it pretty much takes care of it. So I guess when they do my autopsy, they'll see pink foam in my lungs. So anyway, but that's one way. And then I always cover it with plaster cloth. And now you can get plaster cloth at Micromark. I get surgical plaster cloth off of Amazon. It's a lot cheaper. Oh, so much cheaper. It's a little smaller. Comes in a roll like that, where the stuff that you get off of Micromark is about that wide. It's no big deal. This is a little bit more in this roll than what's on the Micromark roll. But, and I always cover it with two pieces, okay, to give it some good solid strength. Because when you start putting trees and stuff like that into it, you want something that it can adhere to underneath and around it. And a couple of drops of white glue, plant the tree. Once it's dry, you don't have to worry about it, okay? Another thing that you can use is paper. Another thing that you can use is cardboard. People don't realize, just take an old cardboard box and cut it up. That's what I did here. And we can bend it, we can shape it, and I'll I'll shape some of it and put it together. And then the other thing, you can use wood pieces up and cover it with screen wire. And then you can plaster over that. So there's different ways that you can do it. If you do the screen wire, you might want to put 3 layers of plastic on it, or plaster on it, to give it the strength that you want, because the screen wire is flexible. When you use this, if you staple it and glue it, it will become pretty solid, and you put 3 coats of plaster cloth on this, and it becomes very, very solid. Okay? So you've got to think about what you're going to do after you do what you're doing. Am I going to put trees on it? If I'm going to put trees on it, it needs to be stiffer than it is if I'm just going to put shrubbery on it. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay. So what we're going to do, how many people, does anybody still get the newspaper? Bless your heart. You can use newspaper. Newspaper. And I can build a mountain out of this. Believe it or not. Now this is an insert. I don't take the regular paper. But there's a small mountain or a small hill. I can make a hill out of that. I don't prefer to use newspaper, but you can. If you've got it, use it. How many people get? Well, I'll show you. How many people get Amazon orders? This is great stuff to build a mountain with. I can take and wad this up, and I'll just go ahead and use this. And we're going to build a mountain right there. Take a little tape. Okay, and there is your basic for a mountain. Then we're going to take plaster cloth and we'll put on it. And there's 2 ways you can put plaster cloth on your layout. One is putting it on dry and then spray it. The other is putting it on wet. And I prefer putting it on wet. It just seems to be a whole lot stiffer. It gets wet through and through. As you can see, these are my scissors that I use constantly. You don't want to cut it in great big strips either. Take a little water. All right, got another one. Sign in for me. I recommend that you use gloves when you do this because the alkaline in this stuff will really dry your hands out. Just get it wet and put it on.
And this is the medical grade stuff.
This is medical grade. This is what they make casts out of. And this is pretty fast. It goes real fast. Okay, so now we got the first coat on. And I'm going to trip and fall on the excess here. So you got the first coat on. Now we would put a second coat on it. Okay? I don't have to let it dry. I can go ahead and put a second coat on it. I'm not going to because we'll get to that later. But this would be, and you can make this as long, high, whatever as you want to make it, okay? It's not, I'm just doing a little mound here. You can make it this big, you can make it that big, you can make it that long or longer. I don't care how you want it, you can still make it right out of paper, okay? You can also make it out of the yellow or the pink styrofoam, yeah. Foam board, yes. And you can carve it, okay? I've done a lot of it where, I've just a little ridge and carved it and put the plaster cloth over it. And then once you get that done, then you can paint it. Okay, but what if we want rock? I want rock on the side of my mountain. Well, there's a couple of things you can do. One of them is with plastic molds. Has anybody ever used the plastic molds for rock? That and a little lightweight hydrocal, and you can make rocks. Where's my rocks? There they are. So here's rocks. Hydrocal. It's great. Now, two ways you can do this. When you pour it, if you need a rock that's bent, that's curved, when you pour it before it sets up, you can take the mold and bend it. Okay? The molds will bend. And when the plaster is still wet, you can bend that mold. And then when it dries, it's going to be that way. And you can put it right on your mountain. Okay, how am I going to put it on the mountain?
How do you keep it bent for the time it has to dry?
I can take it and push it up and put a block of wood or something like that on each side of it.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
Or I can sit there and hold it. And believe you me, it doesn't take that long
really?
to dry. I mean, you can hold it for 3 or 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, it
So,
sets that fast.
oh yeah, it'll set that fast. So, now, so we've got different shapes of rocks. I got all kinds of rock molds here that I've accumulated over the years. And they're not cheap, but once you get them, you just reuse them and reuse them and reuse them. And okay, I'm going to use this rock mold this way, but I can turn right around and use it this way, and it doesn't look the same. Okay, so you can, or I can take and break part of it off, use it a different way. So you can use these things in so many different ways. It's not that it's just one thing and that's it, because you can manipulate them and make different rock molds out of it. You can stack them, and then once you stack them, then you can fill the crevices with plaster. Okay? What kind of plaster? Well, I put in your handout there. You can get plaster at Home Depot. You can get a large bag for what, 20 some odd dollars. Or you can get a 4-pound bag for $11, or a 4-pound thing like this for $11. So I didn't put it in there because there's no way in the world. I have used, gosh, I guess I'm working on just what's left of the 3rd bag of plaster on my railroad.
Do you use this casting plaster in the rocks or the plaster from Home Depot?
I use the hydrocal for the rocks. It's so much easier. It's lighter than the plaster.
And there's a place here in town you can get that with Gavin's cement over inside perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I got mine, it was like $19 for a 100-pound bag.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'm working on, I can't remember how much that bag
Have
is.
you ever used stuff from those on your rocks?
Pardon me?
Have you ever used stuff from those on your rocks?
No, I just use the plaster. Yeah. It's not that much. But that 25 pounds, I'm working on the end of the 75 pounds on my railroad right now. So 100 pounds, I'm still not finished with mine. So I'll probably have to buy another bag. But I've got most of mine that's going to have all the rock faces and stuff like that done. I've still got a few smaller spots. And I've used the rock molds, and then the other way is the plaster and aluminum foil. Cheap. Bob, did you ever get any of those photos that I sent you loaded up?
No, I can't get them in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I'm going to show you a sample tonight. I'm going to show you how to make it and show you a sample of it. But it's not that difficult to make. You have to be vigilant because you've got to do it before the plaster sets up completely and get it on your railroad. And then you got to let it sit there for a few minutes. But if you let it sit there too long, then you can't get the aluminum foil off of it. So you got to kind of time it a little bit. I usually let it set for about 3 to 4 minutes. Then I put it on the railroad and I let it set for 3 or 4 minutes, and then I pull the aluminum off.
Jim, do you coat your aluminum with tan before you
Nope.
pour it? You just slide it in?
Yeah, because it really doesn't stick to the aluminum. So this you need to spray with Pam before you pour it. Thank you. Okay. Any questions? You can get this at Micromark. I'm not sure, a lot of the hobby stores carry it online or in the store. Yeah, Hobbytown's got it. I know Steve has got it out at, so.
And at the trade show.
Pardon me?
You can probably find the vendor at Piedmont Division.
Yeah, you might be able to. But these come in all kind of different shapes. In fact, let me pass that around, see how heavy it is. Now, once you take this stuff out of the mold, you're going to get a lot of different little pieces. Don't throw it away. I put it in my jar, and I can use that as rubble along the base of the mountain where rock has fallen off. Okay? Don't throw anything away. Always a use for it somewhere. And I guarantee you, the day after you throw it away, you need it. For some reason. I mean, that's Murphy's Law.
Did you make this with a mold or the foil?
With a mold. So it comes out like this, and then you got to paint it.
Is there any special prep for painting?
No. No. What I do is I paint it solid black first, and I use I water down the paint quite a bit and put it on there where it gets down into all the crevices and stuff, and then I paint my rock. And then you still got the little black in the crevices, which is what real rock has. Okay.
So you're washing it.
Yeah, I do a wash, but I do a fairly thicker paint than just wash. Well, some of this is getting beat up because it's been in the box so long. But you got all kind of different colors. I mean, depending on the area that you're modeling, will depend on what color the rock and stuff is in your area. So if you're modeling Pennsylvania, the rock in Pennsylvania is going to be a different color than the rock in Arkansas. The rock in the Colorado or Hawaii, or California is going to be a totally different color than the rock on the East Coast. So whatever area that you're modeling, check and look at the rock and paint your rock after that color. Okay? Questions so far? We're just getting started. Guess what? It's starting to dry out. Doesn't take long. If I'd have put a second coat on there, it would take quite a bit longer. Any questions about the rock molds? These are pretty neat. And I use a combination of rock molds and the aluminum foil rock. Okay, so what if we use cardboard? How would we do cardboard?
Cardboard strips.
Cardboard strips, yeah. See how easy it is to remove your mountain?
Earthquake. Jim, look behind your cow.
Now, I ran off and forgot my big stapler. So I'm going to hope that this little stapler that I've got will work. But it's pretty easy. We won't make it too tall. Now, I just use these scissors. This is a piece of 1/2-inch sand ply. The top of my railroad benchwork has got 1/2-inch sand ply on it. My benchwork is built out of 3/4-inch sand ply, ripped into 3-inch strips. And I have found that that's much cheaper and much better than trying to buy the 1x3 pine. I get 15 8-foot strips out of one piece of 3/4-inch sand ply. And I use sand ply because it's got more layers in it than plywood. It will not give, and that's a whole nother class. So, now, yeah, got that right. So now I've got basic here. So now we want to start gluing it. Yeah. Still not hot. Okay, so I'll just cut some more pieces. Okay, well, that right there is pretty strong, just with no more than what I've got on there. Then, and I glue this actually with hot glue, but my hot glue gun is not, there it is, finally. All right, so there is your frame out of cardboard. Now, you can put a piece of wood in here or something like that, and stack it up and do this. You would do the same thing with screen wire, chicken wire, whatever. You'd put your wood up different heights and then lay your wire over it and secure it to the tops of the wood. And then I cover mine with paper, newspaper, just flat, and then I put the plaster cloth on top of that. The reason I put the paper down is because if you put the plaster cloth on just the wire, all the water just drips through. So you don't get a real good adhesion because the plaster cloth dries out too fast. Okay? So I can put plaster cloth on this now and do the same thing as what we did with this. And as you can see, my mountain is starting to dry pretty well. And it's still wet. Turtle? Yeah. Yeah, we can make a turtle out of that. We can make a turtle out of that. Any questions about the cardboard? Cardboard is a little bit harder. It's a little stronger. But understand, this is a model railroad. You don't need something that strong. As long as it'll hold the scenery, the trees and the shrubbery and the rock face that you want to put on it, that's all you need. And if you put a rock face on the front of it, it makes it even stronger. Okay? So I'll show you something now. Pardon me?
Would you build the rock face first and then build your mountain on it?
No, I'd build the mountain and then put the rock face on the mountain. Well, let me see here. Guess what? We now have one that's done.
So that's one of the plaster faces?
That's the plaster cloth and aluminum foil. Now we're going to do an aluminum foil one, and I'm going to do it on this one, but I want to show you what you can do. This is just paper. You remember this one, don't you? I did this one at one of our other clinics. Okay? And I did the whole thing, well, it was all wet. None of it had dried. So we had pieces that didn't stick, and I had to glue them back, but that was the concept, okay? Plant a tree on top of it, the tree will stay on that. That's hard.
That's major.
Yep, only this is 2 layers, that's 1 layer. This is dry, that's still wet. Okay, you know how hard a cast is on your arm. It's the same stuff. Same stuff. It takes an awl to put down in here to make a hole to plant your trees. Okay? So now, with that in mind, styrofoam. 2 layers. But I've carved it, shaped it. So here's a valley that comes down. And when I'm going to show you how I would landscape this, but it would all be covered in plaster and styrofoam. I mean in plaster cloth. And then I will paint it brown, the color of earth brown. And then I put my greenery and all that stuff on top of it. Now, why do I paint it earth brown? Have you ever seen spots in your yard where there wasn't any grass? What color was it? Brown. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, if for some reason a piece of the grass comes off, it's still brown. That's natural. Okay. The thing about styrofoam is it's light. I mean, the heaviest thing about this is the board that it's on, okay? The styrofoam itself is very light. Any questions about this? I use a hot knife.
So you used a hot knife on the 2 sides of the valley.
Use the hot knife.
Or you still use the hot?
I use a hot knife. I don't use anything but the hot knife.
I have heard that the hot knife creates toxic.
It probably does. That's why I say when they do the autopsy on me, I'll have pink foam in my lungs. So, but I don't do it. We're not going to do enough of it inside to matter. I do a lot of it outside, get it shaped the way I want to, and come in and glue it down.
Some folks who don't want the toxic air use like an electric carving knife.
Yeah. But that has its problems too, because now it throws up all of the microscopic pieces of styrofoam. So wear a mask. That's all you can do. Okay. Now, I didn't cover all of this, and I'm not going to cover it because it'll take time to dry. But I wanted to show what we can do with this. Where's my brown? There's my brown. You can get paint at a number of different places. And this, I think I paid like 59 cents a bottle for this at Hobby Lobby, Apple Barrel, yeah, Walmart. So you can get some cheap stuff that's good. Paint brushes. These are chip brushes. I buy them by the box at Harbor Freight. Chip brush. They're cheap, and they're great. I use them and throw them away. Use them, throw them away. One of the guys was using them, and where do I clean this? I said, in the trash can. I mean, they cost what?
So 60 cents a piece?
No, if you buy them by the box, they're like 8 cents a piece or 12 cents a piece.
You get through, you chip them into the.
I chip them right into the trash can.
And if you are gonna wash them out, you get about before washing, before it falls apart.
Yeah. Now, I tell you what else these are good for. Have you ever seen reeds around the edge of a pond? Take and clip those off, and there's your reeds around your pond. Also, who's laying or putting ballast in their track? Cut that off real short and spread that ballast evenly down your inside of your track. Okay? That's another class, ballasting.
You notice how neat he does that?
Yeah.
There's a fine art to this.
Is that just acrylic paint?
Yeah. Fine art to this.
You just want to cover the whole thing.
Now, you'll have to excuse me, but this is real nice Pennsylvania dirt.
I found that another good source for paint is the oops counter at Home Depot.
Yeah. And sometimes you can find the right color. You don't.
Yeah, you can.
The only problem with that, if it's not the right color, you can't get them to change it. They will not change it. They will not add to it or take away from it. Bless you. All right. So now you got it painted brown, supposedly.
Show us how you clean the brush.
Pardon me?
Show us how you clean the brush.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's wet, okay? So I don't have to do anything except turf weeds. Let's see here. Water. It's acrylic paint, so
It's a different green.
different green. Now the other green, the first green I put on there was much thicker and coarse, more coarse than what this is, so it gives it some definition. Different color, different coarse texture. And then last is weeds. Now, you can see the different colors, different shades in there. But that's all it is. That's all you got to do. That's done. Hello. Hello. Yes, I would spray this with a combination of Elmer's white glue and water, and about 50-50, Elmer's white glue and water, and I'd put maybe a drop or two of Dawn in it. Okay, and I thought I had it. I thought, oh, maybe I do have it. Yeah, I do have it. I was looking in the wrong place. Come around here. Well, maybe it won't work. But, yeah, a lot of times it'll get stuck. However, I've got another one.
First you don't succeed. Try again until you leave.
A little water, and she's done. Come back tomorrow, that's dry, and it looks like it did before I sprayed it. Okay, because when I spray it, it messes it up a little bit, but once it dries, it goes right back to what it was.
So was that white, was that the mix of the glue and the water and then more water, or was that?
This was glue and water, and then this was just pure water to kind of get it to soak in and spread it better.
And you use alcohol too instead?
You can use a combination of alcohol and water, or you can use just pure water.
That basically seals everything?
Yeah.
Is that what the intent is?
Yeah. So I spray it with the glue and water, and then I spray it with just a little bit of water to make the glue spread
That's
evenly.
just tap water?
Yeah.
Jim, would you go ahead and at this stage, before you put your glue and water combination, would you put your larger clumps of clump foliage on it?
No, now I would come in and put my clump foliage.
Like after this dries?
After I do this, I put my clump foliage, put my leaves, and if I wanted to,
After it dries or while it's dry?
hmm?
Do that while, after it's dry or while it's dry?
Well, you can do it after it's drying, well, but right here needed to be there was a rock right there. And I would glue that in, and then I'd come back and I'd paint it. Random. Glue it in, come back in, touch up the paint it, and then once you've got that done and you put in your foliage and stuff, get the right piece. Okay, there's a tree that's fallen, dead tree.
It's just sticks from your yard.
Yeah, there's a dead tree. So you can do a lot of stuff. Now, speaking of stuff from your yard, you can use a lot of stuff from your yard, but not grass. But there's critters in that stuff. So what you need to do is get it the way you want to, put it on a sheet pan, stick it in the oven at about 200 degrees for about 30 minutes. Then put it all up, put it in a plastic bag and stick it in the freezer for a few hours. Next week or tomorrow, you can take it out. Guarantee you there's no critters in there anymore.
You're alive.
Not live ones anyway. Okay? I'd just put it in there and freeze it overnight. And then you got all of this, and I mean, this is just, what did I do with it? There. This is just a little bit of stuff. Another thing that you can do, I use super trees when you can get them. And a lot of the super trees, you get a lot of residual deadfall and stuff like that off of super trees. And I use that. It works great. I don't have any super trees. I'd make some super trees tonight. I can't get them. I've called the guy. They're still in New Jersey in customs and been there for 2 months, and he doesn't know when it's going to come out. And then it's got to ship to Colorado, and then he'll have to ship it to me. But
Next month, I'll bring my box with me. But I have it.
there you go.
No, you cannot use it until then.
So hopefully I'll have 2 boxes of that coming once he gets them. But the super trees are great. However, you've got JTT. You can get these at Hobby Lobby. They're pretty cheap. I mean, this one is what, $9.99, and there's 3 trees. And these trees look great. Okay. Yeah, and if you get your coupon, you can really make do with them. And they come in various sizes. This is just one size. I've got another size that's about twice this big. And they're like $12. So any kind of trees. Trees are very important on a layout, unless you're in the desert. Go figure. And then all you need, you don't need any of this. All you need is some sand. Any questions about what I would do with that?
Do you ever take those and cut them up in terms of bushes?
These?
Yeah, the scale's not right.
Sometimes there's parts of it falls off, and I use that as bushes, okay? Because all it is foam. So it's easy. It's easy to make trees out of stuff, flowers and stuff like that. Sometimes you can use them. Hydrangeas, yes. Thank you. Hydrangeas make some beautiful trees. And you got to let it dry real well. And once it dries and you pluck off all of the dead foliage and stuff like that, in the oven, 200, 30 minutes in the freezer. Then you can make your tree, okay? Do not, please do not take something out of your yard and put it on your railroad. Because you will have an infestation before long. And that won't be pretty.
Or if it's hydrangea, the deer will follow into your house.
Pardon me?
If it's hydrangea, deer will follow.
When I was in New Jersey, I came home one day and there was about 15 deer laying in my backyard. All of my azaleas were gone. So, yeah, the deer will make short work of some shrubs, especially azaleas, hydrangeas and stuff.
Instead of hydrangea, aren't you talking about mandamus?
Nandina is one of them.
Nandina's one, yeah. So there's different stuff that you can make, and that we'll let our tree master talk about that next month.
Well, I don't know about the word master.
Okay, any questions so far?
Yes, do you have any samples of your tinfoil, mows that you made?
We're gonna actually do one of them.
Okay.
We're gonna do one. I'm having to leave this time to set up. So we move through.
When you do install the trees, you said you punch a hole in it all,
Mhm.
just stick it in, or do you have to glue them in?
I use 1 drop of Elmer's glue.
Straight up, no?
Yeah, actually I have this little booger right here that I use to do it with.
Is there anything special to do to dry the trees, you just let it dry out?
Well, you let it dry out, and then you got to shape it, and then you got to put a net over it, and then punch the net, because it's not just round. You got to punch the net, and then glue it and flock it. It's an art, of which I am not exactly good at. Okay, so we've covered paper, we've covered cardboard, we've covered screen wire, although I don't have an example of it, and we've covered styrofoam. Okay? I'm going to move this out of the way. We'll let that up there and dry. Now, move this out of the way. And then bring this back over here. Make sure it's heavy duty, oh, another paintbrush, heavy duty aluminum foil. If it's not heavy duty, it will not work. So you've got a little piece of aluminum foil here. Now we've got an aluminum ball. Cats will have a ball with this. Uh-oh, I did it too much. I think I did it too much. That's what I get for not paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay, now I've made a mold. Okay, my rock is going to look like that. Okay, that will go right there. I have my mixing bowl. I have plaster of Paris. 1, 2 cups. This was an old one. How it got in there, I don't know. Make it 2 to 1. Okay. And we'll let that set up. Make sure it gets everywhere. Yes. Okay, we've got to let it set up. Start getting hard.
Question, Jim, why are you using the plaster of Paris this time versus the lightweight powder coat?
Because it's cheaper. Much cheaper. Yeah.
With the casting plaster work though?
Yeah, oh yeah, it would work, but it's a lot more expensive. I mean, what is this? This is a half a gallon, 2 pounds, and it's about $11, $12, yeah, for 2 pounds. It's great for the rock because the rock is light and it's easy to work with. It's easy to get stuck on the wall and stuff like that or on your layout. But this is cheap.
Is it basically the same composition, or are they two really?
No, they're two totally different things.
If you want to carve it, hydrocal is much better than plaster of Paris.
Yeah.
Plaster of Paris dries very, very hard. And you can't carve it that easy.
Mm-mm.
You can color and do all the other stuff, but the hydrocal is a lot easier to carve. As long as it takes that to kick, Jim, before it starts getting really.
Takes about 5 minutes. Yeah. And if I mixed it a little bit thin, it might take a little longer. I usually mix it 2 parts to 1 part water. So. All right, let's see which one's going to be the best side. It might be the better side. It's a little steeper.
Jim, do you handle the plaster of the rocks the same way you paint black first?
Mhm.
Which are washed?
I use acrylic. I get that. You can get this at Hobby Lobby. If you get it on the right day, it's 40% or 60% off. You know, I'll buy 2 or 3 tubes of it at once.
How much diluted? How much diluted?
At least 50%. I don't want to make a wash. I don't want to dilute it like 60 or 75% because I want some paint in it. So. Okay, I think I mixed this a little bit thin, but that's all right. It's starting to get there.
Do you always use flat acrylic paints?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could you add the paint when you're mixing the plaster to make it brown to begin with?
You probably could. I've never tried it.
What that does is that just takes and mixes it in with your plaster or your hydrocal, and it's all the same color.
Yeah.
So that if you're applying it, and all of a sudden you decide one of the pieces of scenery comes off, it's not white underneath, it's the same color, because you mixed it all in
So
there.
you can't
That
use
saves you a little bit of
Good.
a step. So you can use it, and you can mix brown or black, or whatever gray, whatever color you want,
Okay.
which will, it just saves a
Just
little
drop
bit
the
of color.
acrylic paint
Yeah,
right in there.
yeah. Well, you could use, Crayola makes, stuff with the tempera paint,
Oh,
real,
okay.
real cheap. on
Yeah, the
craft.
powder stuff. Powder, just put the powder in there.
Oh, yeah. Whatever works, it is cheap.
Yeah, that's why we use this stuff instead of that stuff. And you can get hydrocal in 25-pound bags. And I haven't bought one of them, but you can actually buy it in 25-pound bags, I think. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember where you get it.
Gavin's, hydrocal is good from Gavin's downtown.
Yeah, I guess it is. So anyway, you can get it in bigger portions than 2 pounds.
And Gavin has all kinds of plastic products that they sell in large quantities. Just remember, once you open the bag, put it in a 5-gallon bucket, put a garbage bag in there, put the hydrocal in and seal it that way. It keeps-
I've got 2 or 3 of these jars, these jugs, and I've got one jug that's it's probably about that full right now of hydrocal. So.
You do that with plaster too, put it in a 5-gallon bucket.
No, I've got it in one of these containers. I've got it in one of these. I keep all of my stuff, all of my plaster, all my mixing tools and everything. I keep it all in one thing. And that way I know exactly what's in that tub. So when I get ready to do something, out comes the tub.
But do you keep it sealed inside that plastic container?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I keep the bag rolled up and sealed.
I got some once and I thought I had the bag tight enough and it came back about 3 months later, wanted to use some.
Yeah, hard.
And I pulled it, it was solid.
Yeah, moisture,
Some
if,
moisture got into it.
yeah, if moisture gets into it, it'll harden it right up.
I guess it depends on where you store it in your house.
I had it stored in the basement.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
moist the place is.
Yeah, so,
Anyway. Keep it sealed, just keep it.
Hey, I got a question about glue. How do you make those? I just store Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue? Yeah, because I have 2 bottles that are bad. Take a piece of saran wrap and put it over the top and just do it that way.
So the temperature or light is not going to affect it?
So while it's still a little moist, you plop it on there?
Yeah.
So it'll form to the shape, okay.
yeah. Now I gotta let it harden up a little bit more before I can pull the tinfoil off of it. But it was just finally at the texture where I could lift it up and it wasn't runny. So boom, I put it on. Everybody like Parmesan cheese? Don't throw away the canisters. Don't throw them away. They're wonderful.
Pay more for them than Hobby Town.
Well, yeah, you can buy, I think a set of 3 of them is like $20 or something like that.
Yeah, about $10
So,
for the empty bottle.
yeah.
We go through a lot of Parmesan.
So, Parmesan is good for 2 things. Not yet.
It's good, 2 things, but he knows what the 2 things are.
I'm assuming one's eaten and one's.
What's it, well, on pizza or cheese, what's the other, what's the cheese good for other than
It's also good on lasagna.
on lasagna? Okay. Yeah. I've been known to eat it straight out of the bag.
Yep.
Nope. Not yet. You can keep checking it. If it starts pulling off, then that's great. But if some of the plaster comes off with it, it's not hardened up yet.
Is it okay to do that and walk away and come back a few hours later?
No,
You gotta get it off.
no, you got to get it off, because if it dries, it'll be extremely difficult to get that aluminum foil off of it.
Because of little bits that are in creases.
Yeah.
Can't spray the aluminum foil.
I never have. Never have.
You're gonna flip the foil off when the plaster no longer sticks to the foil.
Yeah.
Jerry, did you wet the surface before you put that on?
No.
That's when they hit the bottom.
Nope.
Jim, have you played with the dirty water trick? Taking some water, putting old plaster in it, that changes the water, and you use it, and it sets very quickly.
I've always just poured it in there, poured the water, shook it up, and poured it. And I've actually poured in big pieces, not small pieces. I've poured in big pieces. And I wish those pictures had come, because you'd have been able to have saw some of this in real life. But I got them to him too late. Not quite. I think I mixed it a little bit too thin. I didn't quite have full 1 cups, and I did have a full 1 cup of water. So
Regarding the pound, mine thinks that you would be putting an oily surface on the tin foil. That's going to leave you an oily surface on the top. You can try to paint later, and your water-based paint, water, they'll mix, so you're going to have a hard time with the paint just stick to your plaster, because you've got a barrier of oil. So I would try it before I went all up with doing Pam. I don't think Pam would be a good idea.
When you think that we've got a silicone?
I would just maybe some Dawn, some soaking water. I would do that before I did anything non-water-based.
Including, say, on the rock mold,
Water, we are right, yeah.
but you wouldn't use Pam or something.
okay.
That's fantastic.
And it's random.
Now that's still wet, and it will be wet for a while before we paint it. But here again, this is an example of what it looked like after we painted it. Now I just put a quick coat on this, and actually when I did this, it was still wet, and that's why it started coming apart, because it hadn't dried yet, and. So any question about building a mountain?
Jim?
Would you do any work on the plaster now once it was wet, or you wait for it to completely dry?
I would wait for it to completely dry. The reason I did it with this one, we did another class, and so I did this, and I did the rock, and then I tried to paint it for the class, to show the class that, you can paint the rock. And it wasn't dry, and it started coming apart.
Would you use a tool to put crevices or add other textures?
You can actually blend this right in.
And Jimmy, one of the things that you can probably do to blend that in is I use joint compound.
Yeah.
And, splash it on, and then you can still work with it.
Yep.
You use a brush with it, you can carve it a little bit. The joint compound works really good. And the part about joint compound is when you put it on, it's pink.
Mm-hmm.
When it's dry, it's white.
Yeah.
So you can tell how you're progressing through the drying stages of the joint compound.
Yep.
And that's good for putting on your rocks. Your bastions,
Now, I didn't let this get dry enough. So you can see there was quite a bit of it came off with the aluminum foil. If you do it right, there's virtually none comes off with the aluminum foil. But I mixed it a little bit thin, didn't leave it quite long enough. But I mean, we're an hour and a half in, so I wanted to make sure that we got it in. And so you all could see exactly what comes out of it. Okay? So what else now? Tools. You don't need a lot of tools to do scenery. Once you get your styrofoam carved, or once you get your mountains made and everything the way you want to, once you get your rocks done the way you want to, you need paint brushes, you need paint, okay? You don't need a lot of tools. Canisters to spread the stuff with. I buy a lot of the flocking and stuff like that. I buy in big bags, and you just pull it apart and glue it where you want to glue it. I use this little thing where I can put just the glue exactly where I want it. Don't have to worry about it.
Where do you get the bottles, Jim?
How many of you have heard of Sally's?
Sally's Beauty Supply.
Sally's Beauty Supply. You can get sprayers, you can get these things. I got bigger ones. You can get all kind of good stuff. Files, tweezers. Oh, you can get all kind of brushes there too. And I have a brush that it's about like that, about that long, and it's a blush brush, I guess it is, and it is wonderful to get the dust off of your cars and your engines and stuff like that. It's just great. And it's it's about that big around, and it's about that round. It's kind of a round brush, and it works great.
You talked about plaster of Paris and the hydrocal. You've got Sculptamold on here. What is the difference, or when will you use that?
Sculptamold is very expensive. I have some. Hydrocal is better.
Much as you're going to use on your layout.
Huh?
So as much as you're going to use on your layout, plaster is a lot better and cheaper than about anything else.
Yeah.
Including hydrocal, which I prefer.
Including I prefer the hydrocal for my rock, making rocks.
Sculptor mode is based of, I think it has some home soap in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you mix it with water and.
A lot of paper fiber.
Yeah, wallpaper fiber, and you mix it in water, and it's just hard to work with.
Yeah, but you.
I worked with it once, and after I worked with it once, I said, I won't work with it again.
You can take, you've got carving tools and stuff like that you can work with Sculptamold. You can actually put it on, and then you can carve it the way you want to.
Have you ever tried to put a water effect after the fact, or would you do something different if you wanted like a waterfall or something? Would you use a different format for making your mountain?
If I was going to put a waterfall over a rock face, I would probably use the hydrocal and make my rock to go in there, and then I would use a plaster to cover the bottom to seal it before you because if you put your water in there, if there is the tiniest pinhole, it'll go straight through it. So you want to make sure that it's sealed really well. But I would use the rock. I would seal it, then I would put the rock on.
Would you put it on something like that, or on the phone?
No, you can put it on. You can put it on anything. Okay? Because I can take and glue rock onto this. It's no problem. Now remember, I only put one layer on here. If I'd have put 2 layers, it would have been much much different. This is 2 layers. And this is the same stuff. This man can attune to that because he watched me make this one. Okay. What else now? There's more.
There is? Oh, dear.
Okay. What if oh, okay. This is acrylic. Get one of these expensive brushes.
Outdated.
Picasso.
All right. Now, it's ready to, once that dries a little bit, it'll be ready to put some grays, different color grays, by the way, not one color of gray, like I did on this one down here. You would put multiple colors of gray, okay? Light gray, dark gray, medium gray. It'd be random, okay? Because rocks are random. Here again, it's all in the eye of the beholder. So, let's see, and we would take, well, where's my dark gray? Oh, well, I guess these.
So you would do your leopard technique with the grays on the top of the black?
Yep, I would.
I tried to wash one of those things that was soap and water as I got through using it, in my utility sink, and I was having hot water and soap in it, and the wrinkles just started coming out.
Yep.
Best thing you did.
That's cleaning stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, remember, this is not dry, so I'm mixing the gray with the black.
That's normally how you do it, or are you rushing it?
I'm rushing it.
So you
I'm-
normally let it dry completely?
Yeah. Okay, now you get the idea. Okay, so now every layout needs to have a backdrop. And what is your backdrop normally? It's the sky with maybe mountains in the distance. So if I'm going to make 3 layers of mountains, what colors do I use?
Blue, green, and dark green?
I have a sky. The closer to you, the darker the green. So it would be dark green here, then it would be lighter green, and it would be the farther away would be even lighter green.
What about bluish?
Maybe, but it depends on where you are. If you're in Colorado, it wouldn't be bluish green. It would be more like gray. Okay, so
Jim said earlier, when you started this, that the backdrop is in of what you got, the different color. I've been with different layouts, and there's been different shades of blue backdrops, and all of them look pretty. And it's left up to the moment, what color they want the backdrops.
okay, so this is the lighter color, which would be the farthest away, right? You're not going to paint like this when you start doing backdrops. Why? You got brush strokes, plus trees aren't like this. So
Show the camera.
I think it's the same thing. Exactly what Jim watched all these Bob Ross 3D.
This is a happy man.
you make these pretty little trees. Okay, now, as you can see, the tops are rough. So it's trees back in the back there. So how deep do you want this? Well, you can make it fairly deep because we're going to put some more on here. And then, use this color then. All right, does that give you some depth?
Yeah, it's great.
I would pass it around if you would keep your fingers out of it. Because it is acrylic paint, but you'll have to go wash your hands. The whole concept is depth, perception. So I want to be able to look deep into my railroad. Well, I've only got 2 foot, 3 foot in front of me that I'm playing with, right? But I want to look beyond that. And your backdrop will help you gain that perspective. It will help you gain the depth. Any questions?
Especially when you put the clouds up there.
Well, I can put the clouds up there. Not a problem. Not a problem, sir. As soon as I get it back, I'll put some clouds up there.
Looks like on the rock, you do that backdrop where you do one color, let it completely dry, and then the second.
Yeah, and
You one after the other, one.
and then I will wind up dry brushing a white on it. Just a little, just the tips, okay? A dry brush. Not, you don't want to put paint on it. Dry brush it. Because it will give you the appearance of highlighting the sunshine off of it and the depth in the rock. Again, perspective. I want to see depth because we don't want anything flat. We want to see depth in our railroad.
Want to add to it?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this little cloud. Yeah. Okay. Very easy, very easy. Now, you notice there's a little bit of the dark on the bottom of the cloud. So, I mean, the clouds are like that. So we want it to look like that on our layout. Okay? Clouds are random. Doesn't make any difference how you do it, they're random. Okay, if I want to, I can turn that one into a brontosaurus. You can make all kind of good stuff in your clouds, and then put on a piece of paper, find this. So when the kids come in, you hand them a piece of paper, find all of this, find this, find this, find this, and they'll be searching your railroad and looking for stuff. And their parents are going to be looking for stuff too. Guarantee. Okay?
Jim, one other technique, that's a wonderful technique you got there. I use the same technique, but I use natural sponges
Yep.
and man-made sponges versus the paintbrush
Yep.
to stipple it on that way.
You can do that.
And
Very easily do that.
I like the bottom of the clouds, which I do, and sometimes I make bigger clouds.
Mm-hmm.
That don't have a flat bottom.
Nope.
You
Nope.
know, You see both of them out there.
And you can make a cloud, you can see the dark bottom on this,
Yeah.
but you can bring that cloud up higher and then put another dark bottom in there. And that gives you the appearance of two separate clouds in the distance.
I let mine dry sometimes for a day or two, then I come back and hit it again with a line. That way it will give it more definition.
More depth,
It's
yep.
like cloud over top of cloud.
Yeah.
Another technique. That's beautiful. I like what you're doing.
So it's not hard. It's not hard. And if you get this done and you don't like it, well, okay, so get you some paint out and do it again. Do it on top of what you did and it'll give it more texture. You see what I'm saying? My wife always told me, well, I'm afraid to do that because I'm afraid I'll mess it up. And I keep telling her, you can't mess it up. If you don't like the way it looks, just do it again. But I don't want to. My wife, I'm very lucky. My wife loves working on buildings, working on interiors in the buildings and painting structures. She can't glue them together worth a crap. So I have to glue everything together for her, and then she'll paint it and she'll do the interiors, and I have to do the lighting. But she does some beautiful stuff, And she'll bring me a little piece of wire, and she'll say, make me a coat hanger. And then she'll take a piece of styrene, a thin piece of styrene, she'll paint it, and she'll cut out the form of a dress, glue it to that little piece of wire, and hang it on the rack. And it's Jenny's Dress Shop. She takes little pieces of cloth, and she'll cut them up into little bitty pieces and glue them together and put them on the rack, on the shelves.
She did clothesline too, didn't she?
No, she hadn't done the clothesline yet. That was one of the factory things. But you can do so many things in the model railroading. So many things. There's so much detail. His railroad has got so much detail, you could spend a week looking at his railroad and you couldn't see all the detail that's on his railroad. It's just absolutely fantastic. So that's why I love this hobby so much. We have the ability to do stuff that people look at and are amazed that we do this stuff. That's why I love the Piedmont Pilgrimage. That's why I love open houses. People comes in and you see these kids. You see the parents. And it gives them pleasure in looking at something that you've done. And it gives me pleasure knowing that they're enjoying it. Yes, that's your reward. Cabooses. I buy all kind of cabooses. I mean, all the little Tyco and just, the little $1, $2 cabooses. I've got a whole box of them. The kids come in, I'll give them a caboose. I want these kids to be future model railroaders. So let's start them young. Start them young. Any other questions? Well, I hope we've given you something that you can take with you, that you can apply on your railroads, and that will give you pleasure down the road. Thank you all for coming.